All right, so Kevin Acey of the San Diego Union Tribune, he put out this article here this week. When was this? This was today. Yesterday, sorry. And it was about the Padres, their focus. What are they going to be doing here after being eliminated, obviously, against the Cubs in the wild card series? And it starts off with the letter that John Seidler wrote to Padres fans and the process. What is this process going to look like? The meetings. And Kevin was basically like, yeah, these meetings, these happen every year. They're standard. The organization, they'll conduct their reviews, the business side, the baseball side, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, what we're interested in most, I feel like right now, is what the future of AJ Preller and Mike Shildt is. Mainly AJ Preller. And Kevin talked about this here, saying, by all accounts, the intention is that President of Baseball Operations, AJ Preller, and Mike Shildt will remain. Preller has 1 year remaining on his contract, and Shildt has 2. Multiple sources have said Shilt's spot is virtually guaranteed and that Preller's long term employment with the Padres is practically assured. Some of those same sources said they expect an extension for Preller to be announced this month. However, those people have cautioned that the parties still have to discuss the terms and parameters of an extension, and importantly, what is expected in terms of day to day operations going forward. So, I was discussing a few days ago in my last video about they need to, they just need to keep AJ Preller. Um, I already talked about that right when the Padres were eliminated. John Seidler writes that letter, which didn't put much confidence in AJ Preller. Mike Shildt didn't mention AJ Preller. All he could have done, if he wanted to put this to bed, he would have said he was confident in the Padres leadership, confident in Preller, confident in Shildt. We're moving forward. Didn't say that, so left the door open there. And maybe that's what these next few weeks are for. Is you know things could change here, and Kevin could end up having sources come back to him and be like, "Well, things have changed in the organization." But I think that the best course of action is what is expected, which Kevin sources here. Shildt spot virtually guaranteed. For Shildt, let's start with Shildt, then we'll go to AJ. Should it be virtually guaranteed? I mean, if AJ stays, then yeah. If AJ doesn't stay, should you be forcing Mike Shildt on the next GM of the team? Because then how much do you really trust this next GM that you're bringing in, this next president of baseball ops? How much do you really trust them if you're not going to let them hire their manager? You know? So for me, it's more like, is AJ staying? If AJ's staying, okay, great. I don't have an issue with Mike Shildt being the manager. I know there are some that aren't the biggest fans of him, aren't the biggest fans of some of the moves that he has made. And I understand that as well. I've been frustrated at times with the moves that Mike Shildt has made. But ultimately, managing, I feel like nowadays, a lot of it is, are players going to fight for you? And it seems like to me that the players, the players love Mike Shildt. And so that's a big thing. Did players love Andy Green? No. Did they love Bob Melvin at the end of things? It didn't seem like there was this outcry of, man, I'm so pissed that they fired Bob Melvin, you know? So, and by the way, he's out of a job now. He might want to go manage in Japan, I was hearing. So that's interesting. But yeah, if the players are behind him, if AJ Preller still has a good relationship with Mike Shildt, because that's a big thing too, then I'm fine with Mike Shildt being the manager. I'd rather have, and I know people get pissed about how optimistic he always is, and he's not going to talk bad about players and all that. It's a long season, so would I rather have my manager be positive and you know uplifting for his players, or would I rather have him be on the other side? Right? I think that there can be a middle ground for sure. I think that he could criticize a little bit more, but what matters is are the players buying into him? And to do that, being positive to the players helps with that. So, and You look at Mike Shildt's track record and you can bring up the playoffs, but how many managers in baseball can say that they win 90 games consistently and they put their team in the position to go win a World Series? Do they do that every year? Do they continually have the buy-in from the clubhouse? And winning in the postseason is hard. It just is. You could go ask Aaron Boone right now at the Yankees, right? So sometimes you get there consistently, right? Make the postseason, make the postseason, make the postseason, and one of those years you're gonna break through. Maybe you're not, but as I was saying, I think the other day, like the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and you bring in another manager that's not Mike Shildt, how is that going to work out? You know, you could say, well, why not try it? It's not working in the postseason. But I think you also have to be like, well, did he put the Padres in a good spot to go win? Because a lot of this is on the players. Like, let's not make this out to be like this is a Mike Shildt thing. A lot of this is on the players, and it's not on AJ Preller. Like, he's dealt with limitations financially, and so he's had to be creative. And he put the Padres in position to go be a World Series contending team this season. And the players themselves have admitted they didn't do their job good enough. And that's just how it is. So, hit on Shildt there. Preller, like long-term employment with the Padres practically assured. Great. I hope that is the case. This is not me knowing anything, but it seems like Grupner. I don't know what the Grupner-Preller relationship is, but it doesn't seem like it's like the best, but it doesn't need to be. Grupner's the CEO, although I would think that he's asked about some of the baseball stuff from John Seidler. It seems like Grupner and Seidler would be closer than Seidler and Preller are together. I just wonder, like, over these next few weeks here, is it obvious by people, and from what Kevin's saying here, seems like it, but is it obvious from people like, yeah, AJ, he's running things just like normal, he's coming back, and it's obvious in the building? If it is, great, and they're just going through this process and an extension is going to be worked out, like some of these sources are telling Kevin that an extension is expected to be announced this month. That's great. I think he deserves the extension. What he's done for this team, all those sellouts that John Seidler references, and I'm sure Eric Grupner would love to, loves to tout whenever he talks publicly. Like, it's not just about Petco Park. A lot of it and most of it is about the roster that's on the field and them winning baseball games. And AJ Preller gets the credit there. AJ and his staff gets the credit there. And the players, obviously. So I love AJ, big AJ fan. I'm good with Mike Shildt as the manager too. At the end of the day, what needs to be better is the players that are getting paid $30 million a year. They need to come through in the postseason. And they've said it themselves that they need to, right? Like, they need to get better at hitting. Like Tatis has said that. You got to come through in the big moments. AJ Preller can't go out there and hit. Mike Shildt's not going out there and hitting. Pitching, large part, did its job. Hitting, not so much. So I hope the extension is announced. This guy's done so much for this club. And it goes back to what I was saying. Maybe it was right when the Padres were eliminated. You're going to go find someone better than AJ. You're going to find someone that's more of a guarantee to put your team in a spot on paper to go win. You're going to find that person, and that person's going to be better than AJ. You're going to have more confidence in that person than AJ. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. That person's going to come in and know the organization better than AJ? No. I just don't see it. And so, to me, this is a situation, maybe the Padres never win a World Series. I feel like 2024 was their best shot. But it's almost like you're consistently getting there. One of these years you'll break through because the players will do their jobs. they'll perform better than what they have. Um, all AJ can do is put him in the position. All Mike Shildt can do is manage the parts that he is given and put them in the position. I can whine about Mason Miller not being used in that last game. David Morgan did his job still. I can whine about Michael King only going 1 inning. That didn't make much sense to me. I mean, the pitching still did its job, like, for the most part, I think. Darvish could have been better, obviously. We can talk about should they have started King, should they have started Darvish, but, like, I was still fine with them starting Darvish. King didn't look great. I know the talent was there, but he didn't look great going into it. And Darvish, I know he dealt with injuries, and he's obviously up there in age, baseball-wise, pitcher-wise, but it's still Yu Darvish, and it wasn't that long ago that he was dominating Dodger hitters in the postseason. So, like, I was still fine with it. Ultimately, like, those players on the field have to do better, and that's just what it comes down to. Like, let's not forget Dave Roberts, who now people talk about him like he could go into the Hall of Fame as a manager. Um, and he's going to be a Dodger manager till he retires, is what it seems like now. He was close to not being the Dodger manager and then probably going to Skip Schumacher and hiring him to be their manager because the Padres had the Dodgers right there last postseason. And now Dave Roberts, because he won, he's looked at as one of the best managers in baseball. And, he's going to be the Dodgers manager forever, however long he wants to. So he was in that place. Now, to a different degree, right? Like, they had gone to the World Series in 2018. Um, a lot of NLCS appearances, a lot of division titles, right? The Padres don't have that. I understand that. But my point is, with Shildt, for the 2 years that we've had him as the manager, he's been to the postseason back-to-back years. First time in franchise history that they've won 90 or more games with him. So things are going pretty well for a long season. Now they got to go better when it matters the most in October. But he's putting the Padres in position. He's managing this team where they're having that success and they're getting to the postseason. Keep knocking on that door. Will they come through? And then we can look at, the baseball world will look at Mike Shildt the way that now they look at Dave Roberts. Just saying, just bringing that up. So hopefully this is correct that Shildt, seems like he will stay. AJ Preller, an extension coming this month in October, or even if it's not this month, maybe it's in November. I don't really care when the extension happens. I just would like it to happen this offseason because I think he deserves it. I'm a big AJ fan. And I believe he is the right guy. Like, and maybe it's just because like he has the same traits in terms of like work ethic that I have, but like, and he's just a baseball nut. There's no one I'd rather have running this team right now. I could say Andrew Friedman, but I'm a fan. So like the emotional attachment that I do have to AJ, like, no, I want AJ running this team. And ultimately, like, it's up to the players to be better. AJ's doing all he can. So I really do hope that this extension comes. It was interesting, by the way, this other part about the parties still having to discuss the terms and parameters of an extension, what is expected in terms of day-to-day operations. What does that mean exactly? Like, would AJ be giving more of a role to Josh Stein, his assistant GM? Would they bring in someone else to be a GM under AJ? Would they just promote Josh Stein to be the GM and then AJ's the president? I mean, I don't know. So that would Josh just, get more things assigned to him? I don't know. Like, AJ's running the show, obviously. So I don't know what that totally would mean. Because day-to-day operate, like, what would the Padres, would it be the ownership group that wants AJ to step back from something? So that's a little interesting note there. Another thing in this article from Kevin was about the coaching staff. Padres, they are said to be assessing how certain coaches performed, whether they will be retained. Some coaches have expiring contracts, some could be let go or choose to depart. There was a note about Ben Fritz, the bullpen coach, some thinking that he's ready to become a pitching coach. So could another team go grab him? Because that would be a promotion. Um, Pitching coach Ruben Niebla. Would teams interview Ruben Niebla? Or would the Padres allow that? Because Padres would have to allow it. Teams can ask for permission, but Ruben has a couple more years, I think, on his contract. But he has expressed an interest in managing in the past, in the past, managing in the future. So um, does he want to do that right now, or does he want to, you know, get a couple more runs at this thing while he's under contract and then go manage when this contract's up? But you don't know if that's going to come down the road. Sometimes opportunities are there and you just don't know what's going to come. Nothing's guaranteed, so you got to take it. So maybe that's going to happen at some point here this offseason. Losing Ruben would suck, but I'd also be really happy for him because he is amazing. And if he's not the best pitching coach in baseball, he's one of them. And I definitely feel like he could manage a Major League Baseball team here in the future. So I think it would be pretty easy for players to buy in on what he's selling. So we'll see. Expiring contracts, that's a way, obviously, for teams to be like, all right, we'll just move on. We don't have to fire you. Your contract's up. We're just going to move on. So that'll be interesting. Victor Rodriguez, his future. What are we going to do though? When people bring up the hitting coach, I'm like, so we're just going to keep changing the hitting coach, and that's going to be what this magic thing is. That's going to change it come October. It wasn't that long ago that people were praising Victor Rodriguez. So now he sucks, or is it just the players? So you want to blame someone, right? So we shall see. But thank you for the time. Shout out to the great partners of this show. Breaking Tea, they've got Padres and Aztec shirts and sweatshirts. Click the link in the description. Gaglow and Bros cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Their main location is on Friars Road. Check them out. Full menu. Click the link in the description. They're inside Petco Park. They're inside Snapdragon Stadium. Great cheesesteaks, garlic fries, cheesesteaks, fries. And I think it's at a pretty darn reasonable price. Definitely for ballpark food. But since it's the off season for Padres baseball, go check them out. Their Friars Road location. And then SeatGeek code Talking Friars, $20 off your first order when you sign up with your email address. It's not just Padres games, concerts, other events. So please use that to your advantage. But yeah, have a great rest of your day, everyone, and see you later.